Black people fought in every single war and still being disrespected, not being able to buy homes.
Right.
You understand? Burning up of black towns. And people go, well, why ain't they? They saw opportunities. There were black Wall Streets. There were black banks, black hospitals, and they came and burned it.
Black excellence.
If black excellence can be burned down on a whim because you're isolated, how is it beneficial to you or beneficial to FBA to then promote isolationism? Delineation and social isolationism, though not one and the same, it seems as though the radical proponents of the FBA and ADOS movement are constantly trying to push this idea that Black Americans need to separate themselves from the rest of the Black diaspora. And if that were to happen, would that help or hurt the community? I remain in 100% support and recognition of the FBA movement and reparations. However, I can't get down with the idea of no more Black unity just so that you can get credit in the eyes of your oppressor. Let's jump into this video.
The Civil Rights Bill is the reason why our parents got to come over here. 1964, Lyndon Baines Johnson, who was one of the most racist son of a bitches on the planet, had to sign that civil rights. But you know, Martin Luther King is sitting right next to him.
Right. Yep.
So that is the reason why Koreans can come here. Koreans, Indians, Arabs, Nigerians. It's because of the Civil Rights
Haitians.
Bill. Right. It's because of African Americans, foundational black, coming in here, busting their ass, being treated like shit.
Right.
Being hung, lynched, Jim Crow. From slavery was Jim Crow, segregation, Reconstruction.
Shout out to Godfrey for preaching this to other people in the Black diaspora and not to Black Americans. Because when you take the time to put up content praising Black Americans for what they did and how they opened the door for people in the diaspora, they often don't respond in a positive way. I think that the way that Godfrey's going about it, by not preaching it to those Black Americans, FBA and ADOS, and preaching it to those who may have grown up with parents who taught them that Black Americans, you should hang out with them or whatever. This is great. And it actually brings things together for Black unity, in my opinion. It's something that I was trying to attempt when I first started my YouTube page, but I was called a tether. But I'm going to let him continue so I can speak more on this.
Being promised that they were going to get this, fighting every war. They've been, black people fought in every single war and still being disrespected, not being able to buy homes.
Right.
You understand? Burning up of black towns. And people go, well, why ain't they? They saw opportunities. There were black Wall Streets. There were black banks, black hospitals, and they came and burned it.
Black excellence.
They came and burned it because a white woman said somebody raped them and they never did because a white woman lied. So this whole myth of African Americans not seeing opportunity, they did see opportunity, but you imagine, just like colonization in Africa, but imagine everywhere you go, someone is running you out of town. Someone's trying to kill your son from going to school. Yeah. So African Americans see opportunities, but the way the ghettos, first of all, you know where the word ghetto comes from, right? It's an Italian word.
Okay.
Before Godfrey gets into the topic of the ghettos and where the word comes from, I do want to state that Black Americans and Black people as a whole, without the hindrances and blockers that our oppressors have placed on us, would probably be on the top of the mountain. Like our resilience and able to survive with everything that's been pitted against us shows that without those things there, where would we be? We'd probably be like in flying cars and all of that because of the fact that with everything that has occurred, all the inventions, all of the innovations that Black people have brought to this world show that we are excellent. We are an amazing group of people. And I don't want to speak on just Black Americans or Africans or Caribbean people. I'm saying the whole group, the entire group of Black people, the race itself is an amazing race of people. Not to discredit any other race, but right now I'm speaking on my people. And I truly believe that working together would probably be more beneficial for us because with all these Black excellence, all this opportunity that Black Americans did take advantage of, it was all burned away. It was all destroyed. And I want to ask you guys, before I do touch upon this, why do you think that was able to occur?
Right? It's an Italian word.
Okay.
And there was the island of Ghetto in Venice where they kept Jewish people. That's where ghetto comes from. They kept Jews on the island of Ghetto in Venice, kept them there like a ghetto. And then it transferred over to America because everybody was in the ghettos at one time.
Right.
Italians, Irish, and every black person wasn't a slave. There were black people that were here in America already. They were already here. They were not, I know some black people that are like, I'm not a descendant of slaves. We were already here. You know that black people were already here. Black people already traveled. Like seafood, what?
Yeah.
All over.
My black conservative friends will sit down and tell you that black Africans and black people from other countries that came to America and became natives before Europeans came over here and made it America, they'll tell you there's no documentation of ships that Africans built that could travel across the Atlantic or into the Pacific. And you sit down and you think to yourself, like, this is some real JLP, Jesse Lee Peterson type of mindset. I don't believe, as a black person, you sit down and think that black people aren't capable of anything, that white people were the only ones who were innovators and able to come up with ideas that would lead to global expansion. It makes you wonder, like, do these people hate themselves? But as Godfrey's saying, it's 100% true that black people are the origin. Black people are the originators. We were everywhere. It's colonization that has black people feeling as though they can't accomplish anything or that everything that they have was provided to them by the white man or by their oppressor, the person who pretty much enslaved them throughout history all over the world.
Our black presence is everywhere.
Yeah.
Mexico, go to Mexico. You see black, Oaxaca, Mexico, 200,000 Africans. There's black Mexicans in Oaxaca. There's Oaxaca restaurants in LA. Oaxaca, Mexico, black Mexicans. And Mexicans actually helped slaves, black slaves back in the day in the 1800s. They helped slaves. That's why when you see Mexicans and blacks clash and go, you don't know your history. They don't know the history.
And if you remove
Mayate, what? Do you know the history of us? You helped black slaves back in the day, but they make sure they shut all that shit down so they don't. So this doesn't happen.
Keep all that
There
fight.
you go.
If this happens, game over.
And there it is. And there it is. And that's what I've been trying to speak about. In my previous videos on FBA, Tariq Nasheed, and how I believe he's a divider, on my video, respond to the comments to that video, I tried so hard to try to show people, like, no one is trying to take away the credit from Black Americans. I don't want to dilute, dissolve, or anything that would diminish the accomplishments of Black Americans, of FBA, ADOS, Native Black Americans who are not descendants of slaves. No one wants to take away what they've done. And those who come from the Black diaspora outside of America who may say ignorant comments, disregard them. Don't start a whole movement where you are pretty much doing self-isolationism, which is the goal of their oppressor, because of some idiots who are uneducated or don't know actual history. Black Americans deserve reparations. They deserve to delineate and get credit for the things that they want. But the self-isolationism in a country where you are surrounded by your oppressor, surrounded by people who will destroy every time you have a glimpse of progress and major success. And I'm not talking about individual people who have attained success, which are not a threat to the power system currently. I'm talking about when communities of Black people are coming together and being able to sit at the table. They destroy that. Why would you want to isolate yourself in a situation like that? Why would you not want the unity that he's speaking about? Not only with Black people, but even people who are descendants of Black people who may identify as something else, but understand their roots. To me, it's the logic behind that. And to have a leader like Tariq tell you that's not what you need, is he really leading you in the right path?
With Asians, if they really like, yo, we are from Africa, damn. Do you know, watch this.
I know.
Our connection to Japan is amazing. When I was in Tokyo, I'm walking past, I go, man, I noticed Japanese are similar to Nigerians. Their
In what
names.
way?
Fumi is a Japanese name. Yeah. Fumi is a Yoruba name.
Yeah, it is.
Same spelling. I said, what's going on? I walked past this store, it said Chukuwa. It spells like my name except the M is missing. I go, what the hell? I said, I'm Chukua. Same spelling, exact spelling. I go, what the is going on? Then I was dating this Japanese girl once. She couldn't speak English that well, and she's teaching.
You know, what's crazy is that I recently played the game Ghost of Yote. Shout out to Ghost of Tsushima and Ghost of Yote. I love that in Ghost of Yote, they spoke on the Ainu and the original descendants of Japan, the people who are pretty much on the outskirts of Japan now, and their history is being diluted. In all reality, they're kind of looked down upon, of course, because they're darker skinned, they're descendants of black people, and they understand the real history of Japan. They understand where they come from. And it seems as though all over the world, whenever the original people are still present, they're always looked down upon. They're always a lesser class than everyone else in the society that are of whiter skin. Why is that? That no one wonders why in every nation that has had colonization or white imperialism touch upon it, that all the people of color are always viewed as lesser and always isolated. And now in America, we have people who are fighting to isolate themselves. You're literally helping your oppressor achieve his goal. That's what you're doing, because in Japan, those people don't want to be isolated, but they are. And in America, you guys want to isolate yourselves from others that have entered the country, which I understand from history what has happened, where your achievements are diluted, which I spoke on, but it's never a good look.
Me Japanese, and she's doing the Japanese sound. There's the sound thing. Ba 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 bo bo, a ba be ba bo. Same as African languages. The same sound exercises. Same. Then I find out on YouTube, the Edo. The
Edos.
Edo is a town in Japan, because of Nigerian, like some Nigerians, like samurai dude, came over there and established Edo
In
Japan.
in Japan, not in Africa.
Came over because they're black Japanese people. Yo, there's a connection to Nigerians and the Japanese, man. Telling you, it's crazy, because Edo, my cousin's Edo.
Yeah, I played with some cats.
And
that were
EDO,
Japanese.
that's a place in Japan because of Nigerian presence. It just came, I was like, yo. So where's the connection to all of us is bananas. It's just they try to erase everything.
Yeah.
Because there's black Japanese people. They have a whole black Japanese military that from the early 1900s, all black.
I believe that's the Terracotta Army. Either that's China or Japan. And there was like a whole underground base of their black statues that they threw white paint over, or I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's China or Japan, but I believe he's speaking about the Terracotta Army.
And they're Japanese. You go to the Philippines, the Negritos are black Filipinos. They got hair like us, the Negritos, in the mountains, but they don't show them because they go, we can't show that. The
Yeah.
Chinese too. I'm telling you, the original Thai people, you gotta see them. It's whole black Thai people. But they don't want to show that. You got Melanesia, Micronesia, Melanesia, where they have the blonde afros with no
absolutely.
European contact.
Yeah, just right outside of Fiji.
It's called Melanesia,
Yeah.
for Christ's sake.
As in
Melanie. It's like, you're like, what? Wait a minute. We're using the same comb, dog. What's that?
Yeah.
And then they start doing their tribal stuff. You go,
It's very sad to know that all of that has been erased. You look at most major nations and they try to portray that these nations, if they're prosperous, is because of how much European influence that they have, that they are successful. If they're not a European nation, if they're not a European nation and they are successful, that is what is told to you, that the reason that they are successful is because of all the things that Europeans have brought to their country during the time of colonialism or imperialism. They never explained that there were people here that were prosperous before Europeans came to their area or before the propaganda of Europeans touched their land. Once European influence touches a nation, it seems as though anything that is rooted in the natives, blacks, anything like that is now erased. It's now demonized. It's never good. It's never of quality. And why?
remember this guy, he was a Samoan historian. He was a bouncer. This guy named Olo out here when I used to party in LA. And he was like, he would just talk to me about like, oh no, we're connected. Cause Olo had a big old nose. He's Samoan, this big old afro. And I go, man, you like a black Asian? He goes, well, yeah. Cause you know, back in ancient times, you know, the seafarers, the Africans and the
Seafarers.
Asiatic people met. And that's why we look the way we look. I said, oh, because I'm into anthropology. I love.
Me too.
I love origins.
I gotta get down with
Anthropology,
this, yeah.
and you know,
you go
and-
deep with it too.
Yeah, because I know my buddies go deep with it. Because when you travel to these countries, you go, what are these black people doing here? What the hell's going on? I'm like, I'm like, yo, excuse me.
It's like uncovering the big lie, right?
And that's where it is. Uncovering the big lie. We have been fed so much propaganda, and everything that we consume is not created by us for the most part, especially not from, like, I'm 38. And most of the stuff that I seen on TV was not provided or made for black people. And as a result, the information that you receive throughout your entire life, if not taught by someone in your family or someone who actually has the knowledge, is all the history and knowledge that you receive from Europeans. They make you believe that countries that are amazing are not. They make you believe that any innovations that were created by black people were not created by them, or were only created by black people because of the aid of a white person. Every film is pretty much showing you that it's always a white savior. Could we imagine a world where there wasn't this lie that for some reason black people are lesser? Could you imagine that world and how great it would be? Could you imagine the world where people are not constantly trying to find ways to impede your success, constantly trying to find ways to hold you down?
You look at the original Hawaiians, you know who the Duke is? Duke is, his name is like, it's so long. He was like an athlete. His name is like Malakalakalakawea. Duke looked like a black dude with straight hair. I was like, the Duke is like, he's like a god in Hawaii. And I said, the original Hawaiians, not the Japanese and the Samoans and the Filipinos. I'm talking about the original Hawaiians. And the last queen of Hawaii was Liliuokalani, who they kicked out. Remember, they locked her up. She looked like a black lady. Look that shit up. The last queen of Hawaii, where the U.S. kicked her out and all this other stuff. They look like black people. I was like, something's up.
I've never gone into the history of the Hawaiians.
I love all that stuff.
Never even thought about it. You just have this image of what the Hawaiians look like and just go.
No, yeah, because they have an Asiatic. No, but the original ones.
And of course, once again, who kicked her out? The Americans, as they took over and made it a U.S. territory. The last queen looked like a black person. And I just don't understand why black Americans are fighting to get credit from who? From them? You want credit for the thing that you've accomplished from who? From the people who are literally erasing you. And after you receive that credit, what happens then? Like if the entire world identifies and recognizes that it's black Americans and solely black Americans that did what they did in America to have allowed for other people in the black diaspora and other immigrants from all over the world to come to America. It's black Americans that did everything they did that made America what it is today. What happens then? If you're isolated in this country and surrounded by your oppressors, what happens with that credit? Look what happened in these other nations where the natives who looked like me and looked like Godfrey, they continue to get their credit while being isolated, and their population dwindled as those of lighter skin continued to flourish. What happened? Now it's almost to the point where we don't even know about them. They're erased. So to think that it can't happen in America when it's happened in so many other countries, history shows that it's truly possible. And it's not only is it truly possible, it's likely, especially with the mindset of FBA or people like Tariq Nasheed telling you, no, we need to isolate ourselves from them. They are different from us. Yes, you are different. Haitians have Haitian pride. Black Americans should have American pride. And there's nothing wrong with that. But don't succumb to the idea of not coming together, because everywhere else, they are pitting people against us. People who come from us.
It's dark. Yeah. I'm like, what's going on here?
At the end of the day, I'm with black Americans on reparations. I'm with them on getting credit for the thing that they've accomplished and them solely getting credit for it. But we have to be very mindful of the sabotage and big lie section of this video. If black excellence can be burned down on a whim because you're isolated, how is it beneficial to you or beneficial to FBA to then promote isolationism? Delineations for the courtroom, unities for the battlefield. A delineated group of 40 million is a lot easier to target and sabotage than a global network of 1.2 billion.